One unexpected blowback from the medieval Hamas's barbaric murdering of hundreds of Israeli civilians is the revelation of current global amorality. More than 20 Harvard University identity politics groups pledged their support to the Hamas murderers, to the utter silence for days of Harvard President Claudine Gay. Americans knew higher education practiced racist admission policies. It has long promoted racially segregated dorms and graduations, and de facto it has destroyed the First Amendment. But the overt support for Hamas killers by the diversity, equity, and inclusion crowd on a lot of campuses exposes to Americans the real moral and intellectual rot in higher education. Democratic Socialist members of the new woke Democratic Party openly expressed ecstatic support for Hamas's blood work. Their biggest fears were not dead fellow Americans or hostages or some 1,000 butchered Jewish civilians. Instead, they were fearful that righteous Israeli retaliation might destroy the Hamas death machine. Palestinians for years fooled naifs in Europe and the Obama and Biden administrations into sending billions of dollars into Gaza. These monies were channeled to tunnel into Israel, to obtain a huge rocket arsenal, and to craft plans to wipe out Jews. The Biden administration has blood on its hands. As soon as President Joe Biden took power, he resumed massive subsidies to radical Palestinians, canceled by the prior Trump administration. He ignored warnings from his own State Department that such fungible cash would soon fuel Hamas terrorism. His administration dropped sanctions against Iran, ensuring that Tehran would enjoy a multi-billion-dollar windfall to be distributed to Israel's existential enemies, another fact well known to the Biden administration. If the Biden administration had announced overtly that it was rabidly anti-Israel, it would be hard to imagine anything it could have done differently from its present nihilist behavior. If the Biden administration had announced overtly that it was rabidly anti-Israel, it would be hard to imagine anything it could have done differently from its present nihilist behavior. Biden and company quickly restarted the defunct Iran appeasement deal, a leftover from the anti-Israeli Obama administration. No surprise, they appointed radical pro-Iranian activist Robert Malley to head the negotiations. Malley allegedly has leaked American classified documents to Iranian officials and is under investigation by the FBI. He did his best to place pro-Iranian, anti-American activists into the high echelons of the U.S. government. Biden was intent on forcing South Korea to release to Iran $6 billion in sanctioned frozen money. That expectation of cash ensured Iran would be reimbursed for its present terrorist arming spree. Secretary of State Antony Blinken shamefully tweeted that Israel should settle for an immediate ceasefire. No wonder he soon withdrew his unhinged posting. That idiocy would be the moral equivalent of an American ally in December 1941 urging the United States to seek negotiations with Imperial Japan after its surprise bombing of Pearl Harbor to avoid a cycle of violence. The Biden team has drained strategic arms stockpiles in Israel designed to help the Jewish state in extremis. It recklessly abandoned a multi-billion-dollar arms trove in Kabul, some of which reportedly made its way from Taliban killers to the Hamas murderers. Once the mass murdering started, the immoral clarity of our allies was stunning. NATO partner Turkey openly sided with the killers. It, along with Blinken, called for a ceasefire at the moment the Hamas death squads had finished, and Israel was ready to hold Hamas to account. Qatar, where the U.S. Central Command is based, proved little more than a Hamas front. It offers sanctuary to the architects of Hamas killing, and Qatar ensures a safe financial pipeline to Hamas from Iran and the radical Arab world. Some of the most vehement current supporters of the Hamas death squads were immigrants to America from the Middle East. Oddly, they apparently had fled just such illiberal Middle East regimes to reach a tolerant, democratic, and secure United States. Yet they now endorse the Hamas butchering of Jewish civilians. Its savagery is aimed at executing raping and beheading Jews and then mutilating their bodies. Hamas apparently hopes to shock the Israeli government into voluntarily committing suicide, in line with the ancient Hamas agenda to destroy the Jewish state. In a strange way, this reign of death has become a touchstone, an acid test of sorts that has revealed the utter amorality of enemies abroad and quite dangerous people at home. It is past time that Americans deal with the medieval world that was revealed this month rather than keep dreaming in the fantasy world of our government. Americans need to stop illegal immigration and restore their southern border, while ceasing all immigration from unhinged, hostile nations. The military must return to its deterrent role and fire its woke commissariat. Our leaders must accept that in the past 3 years of the Biden administration, serial American appeasement abroad, disunity at home, and social chaos have encouraged an entire host of enemies: China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Middle East illiberal regimes, and former friends such as Turkey and Qatar. And our enemies dream of doing to us what we just saw in Israel.